Okay, so welcome back everyone. I'm going to be reviewing the Takara Tomy DMK03 Age of Extinction Optimus Prime. This is my model kit that I custom built and painted. And if you followed my videos, then you're probably seeing this after the fourth video I posted. It was about a 2-week process, and yeah, I painted everything from head to toe, even all the pieces that you probably don't see under, like the inner frame. And so I just wanted to not only review the model itself, but also go a little more in depth into my work, mainly the arms, because you've already seen me paint the entire model. I wanted to talk about the arms that I've created and just give more detail on how I did that. And so, like I said, it was a 2-week process of painting everything. If you watched my videos of me working on it, then you know that I painted all the silver pieces right here. I painted them with two silvers with a they were both folk art. No, one was folk art, one was Craftsmart. The folk art was silver sterling, and Craftsmart was, I believe, just the silver. And so I mixed them together, and I painted two layers, two coats of silver. I put this kiwi shoe polish that you can find anywhere for a fairly cheap price. I used it as a black wash and wiped away the excess, and it created this, like I said, this dirty look. And so yeah, that was basically for the silver. And then I painted one more layer of silver, just to keep the flakes and all that on there, to give it that still a shiny look, as opposed to a dull matte look. And when I was done painting the silver, what I used as a top coat was this Rust-Oleum clear durable top coat. It's satin, and so I used that for all the. I'm sorry for the loud noises, but I used that for all the silver pieces. Now for the pieces with the blue and red flames right here and right here in the skirts and basically majority of the legs, what I used for that were metallic red, which I believe was Craftsmart, and just a regular red. I can't remember the brand, but it was just red. And I used that, blended it together, and I used that to paint, just like the flames and just all the truck pieces. And then I used a blue, look at me blue, and I used that to paint. I called it the outline in my videos. I meant to say the pinstripes for the flames. So like, if you look real close right here, let me see if I can get it pretty close. So if you can see on the blues, like you can see it probably like right here. You can see that there's a blue outline. Even right here is probably, you can tell on the red flames, it's much easier to see that I put a blue outline. And even on the shield, you can kind of see it. And I was trying to replicate the pinstriping effect that's on the truck and the character. And so I used Look at Me Blue, and then I used the regular blue and a metallic blue. I think both were by Craftsmart, and I used that for like the blue flames and just the blue in general. So that was that was majority of what I did. And for the truck pieces, I actually went to AutoZone, and I don't know if this is different than just a glossy paint, but since it was the same price, I just decided to get it anyways. I went to AutoZone and bought this Rust-Oleum acrylic lacquer. I think it's lacquer. It's a gloss crystal clear coat. It's a top coat, and it's to seal and protect and all that stuff. And I used that to seal the paint on the truck pieces, because what I wanted to simulate, to replicate, was the fact that since these are truck pieces, you know, even though they're, you know, they got some silver weathering on them, I still wanted these truck pieces to look like they were brand new, or not even brand new, but they were shiny, because especially when you look at the you know, at like any truck or any vehicle, even a car, if you look at your car outside, if it's brand new, it's gonna be very shiny and just like reflect off the sun. And that's what I wanted to replicate. So I wanted to grab some kind of car top coat, you know, a top coat for like painting cars and all that stuff. And I wanted to put that on the what would be the truck pieces again, so I could give it just a really nice glossy shine to it, a glossy finish. Oh, and I forgot to mention the inner frame, which again, if you saw the video, it wasn't. I just painted like the yellowish gold where it needed to go, but I basically just dry brushed a majority of it, and it wasn't too complicated. So this build was fairly simple to do. Painting it, for me, painting it was not very difficult because I mean I do enjoy painting, but the only thing about it is that it was about a 2 week long process, because I had to paint every single piece, and so painting every single piece, it takes a long time. And again, and you can see right here, I painted the smokestacks, the top of the smokestacks. I also painted these pieces. I think they were just, you know, the gray or the silver that came in the runners, but I decided to put the red here because he does have the red back here. And I also painted the sword and the shield. And I didn't want to use the decals. However, the decals that I did use were mainly for the Cybertronian language, which you can see on the sword. It's on both sides. And right here on his shins, you can see he has some Cybertronian language there. He also has it on these pieces right here and on the other side. I also used the Autobot symbol decal, which is right here. But other than that, I did not want to use the flame decals, the water slide flame decals, which this is the first time I used water slide decals for these, and it was a little confusing at first, but once I got the idea, it was sort of simple to do. It's simple to explain, but hard. It is pretty hard to do. Basically, what I did was I took a bowl of water, and I cut out the decals. Let's see, and let me get the solution. So I cut out the decals. I put them in the bowl of water. I put the large pieces for about 45 seconds and the smaller ones for about 30 seconds. And when I took them out, I used the Q-tip and I tried sliding the pieces onto the surfaces. So like, you know, this part right here, which is a long decal, I just like slid it to onto the sword. But before that, I actually used, I believe it's, let's see, which one is, okay, so I think I used the set. So if I'm correct, the micro set, which I use micro soul and micro set. Now I believe the micro set, let's see which one. Okay, so yeah, the micro set I put on first, and so then I slid the decal onto the piece. I put on another layer of micro set just to help it, you know, soften and go and, you know, adhere onto the piece. And so I let it dry. Once it was dry, I put a layer of microsol. And what microsol does is that it softens the decal to conform to irregular surfaces. And so there's also some decal right here, the Cybertronian language on the shoulder pad. I forgot to show that off, but yeah, they're not too difficult to figure out. I mean, it doesn't say on the instruction sheets anywhere where to put them, but I mean, if you're familiar with the design and the character, and if you just kind of look at the way the decals are positioned, I don't think it's too difficult to figure it out. But nevertheless, I mean, I use these micro sole to kind of help the decals like just go onto the pieces. And let's see, what else did I do? So yes, I'm trying to figure out everything before I talk about the arms because I want to make sure I cover everything else. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, I painted the shield, and you know, it wasn't too difficult. I mean, especially not getting to the cracks and the little small pieces inside. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. This, I didn't do this purposefully, but put these joints right here. If you can see, this piece was a pain in the butt, and I think it gives you 4. I think I broke 3 of them, and I had to use crazy glue. I had crazy glue, but I used crazy glue to stick them back together. The problem is, I don't know if it's the ball joint or if it's the socket, but one of the things was not compatible with the other. Either the socket was too small or the ball joint was too big. But either way, it was hard getting this thing into the socket, and 3 of them I just broke. I believe it was 3, but yeah, 3 of them they broke. They just, you know, they couldn't, and that was very annoying. So what I did is I carved on each of them. I carved the socket so that it was big enough to fit the ball joint, and it's still a very tight fit. But I don't mess with the ankle joints because you can pivot them, but I choose not to do it, or I don't do it as much because I'm afraid these things will fall off. So just keep that in mind when you're building this. You know, you might have to do a little bit of carving to get those things on there, or you could just leave them off. I mean, I don't think it really hurts the design, especially considering, I mean, if you ask me, this model is a good model. And even if you don't customize it, I do think that it's good enough. Again, another reason I didn't really want to use the flames because I think, I mean, look at all the flames. You basically have to put all the flames on this guy, and that would have been a lot of micro stud. That would have been a lot of, you know, just putting, you know, just a lot of cutting out all that stuff. But really, I personally didn't care for some of the flames. I thought they were a little goofy, you know, just like their proportions. They looked a little big, just cartoonishly big, and so I wasn't a big fan of that. So instead, I decided to just paint the flames myself. And I think, even though I did screw up a little, like, I feel like, you know, this is my first attempt painting the flames, and you can see on the shoulder pad, I don't know if they came out the best. But even on this side, when I learned my lesson, I think they came out fairly good. I like what I did, and so yeah. So I didn't want to use the decals. I just painted myself. And also, when I put it together, I actually had the alternate face with the face mask, or the battle mask. I decided to just have the regular face because, I mean, you know, he has the regular face for like majority of the movies anyways, at least in The Last Night and The Age of Extinction. I think maybe later down the line I'll probably change the face to the battle mask, because I think actually the battle mask for the model looks a little better than the face mask. I think his face is just too wide. But other than that, I mean, this is even if you don't paint it, this is a very good looking model kit. Even if you want to use the flames, I don't think the flames are atrocious. They're good flames. I just prefer the more thinner flames because I think that's how it looks in the movie. But even if you use the decals, they're not bad. They're pretty good themselves. And this is a fairly good model kit. The articulation is pretty good. I wouldn't say standard, but you know, it's a model kit, so if you've ever made a model kit, then you'll know what I mean. That it's just, I mean, it does have a butterfly joint, which I think is very nice, and it helps with a lot of posability. In fact, I mean, if you saw, you know, my last video, then you saw that, you know, I was using the butterfly joints fairly well. You can actually move these outward. Now, they're mainly because of, again, the butterfly joint, you know, but you can still move the arms outward. And with sort of my I also forgot to mention I modified the shoulder pads, so with my modified shoulder pads it's able to go out just a little more, but I don't want to, like, you know, break it. So I'm gonna just leave it like that, and I'm gonna explain to you how I did the shoulder pads. You can probably already tell, but yeah. And so the arms are the shoulders can go out that far. There is a bit of a 90-degree elbow joint, and you can see right there. Then I think it could go a little further, but because of the way I designed the arms, it's a little hard for it to do so. But I think on the regular model, it can still go 90 degrees. There's a waist swivel on this joint, and right here you can kind of go up and down, but it's not too much. It's a little limited. The head is actually pretty posable, so you can go left, you can go right, you can go up like that and down like that. And that's because there's a ball joint right here, a ball joint right here, and then on the base of the neck there is a swivel. And so this thing, and I think even for the base there's still a little bit of ball joint action too. So the neck part is very well done. It's very posable, and it can get this guy into some decent poses. These parts can go up and down, and I do, even though I feel like it's unnecessary, I do like that they put the option there. The shoulder pads, originally, you know, the shoulder pads, they can swivel up and down, but again, I'm gonna go into this in a little bit. So the legs, so the legs can go up. So, well, first out, these pieces can move. They can move up and down and side to side. But so if you move them up, the legs can go like that far. And there's also, he has some butt flaps right here. Now I don't want to break these, so let's just say that legs move back that far, okay? And so when you move the legs this far, he actually has a double jointed knee. However, again, there's some pieces that are kind of getting in the way. I don't want to accidentally like break anything, but you can see he does have a double jointed knee, and it looks nice. It doesn't look ugly, at least not in my opinion. Now for the legs, I mean the feet. Again, there's a pivot. I don't want to move it, but there is a pivot, and he can go up and down. Not very much, but what makes up for it is that this toe part right here can go up and down a lot, so it can still make some really nice, you know, nice posability. And then it doesn't do it very well, but at the very tip of the toe, it does move up and down. But again, it doesn't do it very well. And let's see, what else is there? I believe that's it. I mean, there's just some little, like, this thing is very, very posable. There's a lot of pieces. You can even move these if they're not too tight. Again, you can move the butt flaps. There's just a lot of things that you can move on this thing, you know. Just even now, I didn't glue it, but it did get stuck in here, I guess because of the paint or maybe the way I put it together. But it's supposed to kind of fold down, but I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I disassembled it and reassembled it. But before that, when I put it together for the first time, this thing kept sliding out, so it's very loose. So it's either going to be very loose or it's just going to be stuck in there. And honestly, I kind of preferred being stuck in there. But I mean, as you can see, let me see if I can get the sword out here. So as you can see, it does come with like the gun barrels, and I did put paint on there. And yeah, this figure, you know, like I said, even without all the paint, it still looks nice. But my goal was to make this a movie accurate model kit, mainly because at the time, I mean, now we have 3A coming out with a really awesome Optimus Prime, and I actually did pre-order that one. But before that, I bought this last year, and before, you know, the 3A one was coming out, there wasn't a lot of very accurate Optimus Prime, you know, versions of this Optimus Prime. And even the ones that were, you know, kind of touting themselves as movie accurate, they weren't movie accurate. I mean, I'm that kind of guy. I noticed the little things. Like, I think there was a comic cave, and some of the stuff was bothering me. I didn't like the face on the comic cave. I thought it looked kind of weird. But another thing is that right here it's supposed to be red, and on the comic cave one it was blue. And I know that's such a little detail. Like, why even bother? But it does bother me. And another thing is, for some reason, every toy, every model, every big, you know, like statue, like the comic cave one, they never came with the knight arms. They gave him the sword and shield. They never give him the knight arms. And so I'm gonna go. Oh, actually, before I go into that real quick, I want to also mention one more thing. if you look right here, he has like these little cuts, and I actually use an X-Acto knife and I just kind of carved them in there. And I use the shoe polish, and I just kind of put a little shoe polish in there to make it like, you know, kind of stand out. And again, if you look at the design, he does have that on there. So again, I was aiming for as accurate as possible. But going back to the arms, so the arms, every time a toy or something like that comes out of this Optimus Prime, they give him the sword and the shield, which, you know, okay, they're going for that look because, you know, from Age of Extinction and Last Night. They don't give him the right arms. They always give him the arms that he had at the beginning of Age of Extinction. Even this model kit came with that. And what I did was, you know, I wanted to make this thing accurate, especially accurate to this version where he has the sword. He's the Knight Optimus Prime. And so what I did was I used plastic from plastic containers. You know, you can find them basically anywhere, like in a grocery store like Target, Walmart, Kroger, something like that. I don't know, Randall's maybe, I think that's one. But yeah, and I used the plastic that holds like the organics of like kale and spinach and all that stuff, and I used the plastic and I used it to make the pieces. And what I did was, so I sketched out some pieces, I traced them onto the plastic bins and the plastic containers. I cut out the containers, made the shapes. I had to warp them and just like bend them so that they could make the shapes that I was looking for. And then I glued them together. And well, first I primed them, painted them, top coated them. Again, I used this top coat for the truck pieces, and then I glued them together. And so what I was going for was the look that he had at the end of Age of Extinction and pretty much through the Last Night, where he has these knight arms. And I think they came out fairly good. They're a little bulky, but after 2 weeks, and I finished this thing about a week or two ago, so now that I've had it for that much time, I've grown accustomed to how big they are. Because I mean, I think if you look at the movie, these arms are huge. They're gigantic. So, you know, I grew to like kind of be okay with this, you know. And I know it's my work, I should be okay with it from the beginning, but I mean, you know, they say that, you know, you are your biggest critic, and that's how I felt that the arms were just too massive. But again, after letting it settle, I do think the arms came out very well. Now this side, I think the right side came out better than the left, and that's because I started on the left side. But the right side, I mean, it basically looks, you know, from the front, it looks almost identical to the movie. You know, it's big here, and then it gets smaller here when it gets close to the wrist. Where here, it's just kind of just like stays the same. But nevertheless, this is what I was going for. And even like the biceps right here, I gave him like, you know, the segmented parts, and I kept some pieces under here. Originally, I had like there was some pieces that like I wanted to keep because I thought that was gonna make it like I was hoping that would make it the right size. But then I had to take a couple things off and make it, you know, because it just made it too bulky. But I still have some pieces under there, and again, that's just to keep kind of the mass of the look, because again, these arms are supposed to be massive. You know, they're armored. And oh yeah, and I also made the, you know, the little, I don't even know what you call this, wrist? No, not wrist. Palm, I don't know. I made these, okay? And I made these, and I put them on both hands. And yeah, so it was, I think this was probably the most difficult part because I've never done something like this, but on the other hand, it wasn't too hard. And I mean, what I did for one side, I did for the other, so again, it wasn't too hard. And I am very proud of this. I think I did a very good job, especially, you know, not just the painting, but just not even just the modding, but just the whole thing. Like, this is the biggest model, not even model, but just the biggest thing I've done, you know. And I'm not even talking about size, I'm just talking about, like, you know, it took me like 2 weeks. It took me, you know, almost every single day from the morning all the way till, you know, late in the day, to paint every single piece, you know, and just get it exactly how I wanted to. And so with these, I'm very, like, you know, I'm very happy with how they came out. I think they, you know, again, they look how I wanted to look, and they look like the movie. And and that's what I was going for, because again, you know, everything that seems to come out, they always give him the arms before he gets the sword and shield, and that's just not accurate. I am a big fan of, especially with the Transformers, because I am a big fan of the movies. When it comes to accuracy, it has to be accurate. And the leader class we got from Age of Extinction was not even close. The Takara one was close, but it's still, you know, it was okay. The Voyager we got, which isn't even from the last night, it wasn't even a bad Voyager. It's just, again, you know, it was inaccurate. The sword was too small. Like this sword, I mean, even though it's long, I mean, it's still, this is how the sword should be. I mean, it's, you know, it was a big sword. And so, you know, just the Voyager was still nice, but it was still very inaccurate. The Comic Cave one was extremely inaccurate. I mean, I know it was still it still was very accurate, man. It was tall and everything, but I just remember seeing videos that I'm like, man, that is just not right. You know, that's nothing, you know, that's not right. The only one that's actually accurate is, well, there's two. There's the Prime One Studios, which looks very amazing, but I mean, I don't have the money for that. And the second one, which I did have the money for, that was the 3A one. The 3A one looks, other than Prime One Studios, looks as accurate as we are ever going to get to that version of Optimus Prime, especially with the sword and shield and the armored knight look. And so, but I was very happy that I feel like I still came close to what I was achieving. Also, I wanted to mention the shoulder pads. So the shoulder pad kind of comes in two pieces. It comes with this, and then there's a little piece that goes under it that like goes into the hinge. There's a little hinge joint, and you can connect it together, and it like goes up and down. But it's very limited. It's very limited, and it limits the arms a lot. And so what I wanted to do instead was I just took out that under piece. I got a wire. I glued it to the shoulder pad, to this shoulder piece, and I glued the other side to the shoulder pad. And so now this thing is on a wire, and so it again allows the arms to kind of move out a little more and just do a little more. I'm able to pose it better, but it's, you know, it's still, you know, it's still a little limiting, but it's much better than it once was, in my opinion. And I want to quickly shout out a YouTuber. His channel is called R Creator, and I got all of this from him. I was inspired by what he did, because he was going for the same look. He wanted the armored knight look, and I wanted to go for that too. And I felt that he made a fairly accurate, you know, model kit with his, and so I was very inspired by him and what he did, and I decided to follow in his footsteps. So if you really want to see, you know, where I got this idea from and how I did it, you should check out his videos. He has a montage of him putting the model kit together and painting it, and he has his own review, and you should look up that, because he goes in a little more in depth. And you know, just again, if you want to see, you know, how it's done, and you know, where I got the idea from, you should definitely check out his videos, because I got the idea from him. It was all his idea, at least from what I can tell. Even down to the shoulder pads, I got it from him. So yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to, again, just talk a little bit about the model kit, the posability, just review it, and then I just review my own work. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. This is a little longer than I thought. I was trying to keep it under 20 minutes, but I mean, it's about to reach 30. Nevertheless, thank you all for watching. This is my first time posting these types of videos. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm gonna work as hard as I can to make them better. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good day, good night, good evening, wherever you're at. And yeah, have a good one.